and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 MMA DFS prep show in all of the land.
Say my name.
I am your host, M.O.N.K, aka the Monk Petition, and in this very episode, guys and girls, we are going to be breaking down all 11 fights from NOCHE UFC. This Saturday in Las Vegas, headlined by the rematch of Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso for the women's flyweight title. We've also got JDM and Kevin Holland, Rosas Jr. on this card, Daniel Zellhuber, Fernando Padilla, so some interesting prospects here. Daniel Lacerda trying to get his first win in the UFC as well. Double J taking on Tracy Cortez. We've got some decent fights this week, guys, so if you'll humor me, let me take you through all of the most pertinent stats to help you construct those GPP and cash lineups this weekend. And be sure to stick around for the whole video, as I will give out CM Monk's picks at the end, and the Monk pick of the week, the most owned no nonsense pick of the week for NOCHE UFC. Should be getting through this one in about 30 minutes or so. Very short card. Let's get right into it.
Show's about to start!
Before we jump into the fights, let us go over what you guys will be seeing at the top and the bottom of your screen. Obviously on the left side we have the salary, then we have the number of finishes and decisions and average fight time for each fighter in the UFC. If they have no UFC fights, these are the numbers from their professional career. Then we have their UFC record and exact record. Exact means, as you can see, 3 rounds bantamweight on the screen. So exact just references fights that are exactly the number of rounds you see and at the weight class that you see. Next to that we have the fighting styles, which are generated by the DraftKings scoring percentages, and those directly relate to what you are seeing on this scatter point graph down here. And then to the right of that we have the fighters measurables. So that should do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and of course that will also help the algorithm as well. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Let's get right into the fight, guys.
Promise me 1,000,000 times that you will never do another rule.
First fight of the night, we've got Josephine Knutsson taking on Mann, the sawed-off savage for Mann. Very interesting. She is only 5 feet tall.
Where's the rest? Yeah, where's the rest?
30 years old, has a 64-inch reach though. Both of these women are making their UFC debut. They both have Dana White Contender Series fights, and neither one of them has a ton of good stats to look at. Mann got outscored absolutely everywhere. She led 117.56 points in her DWCS loss, did land 3 of 8 takedowns, got taken down twice as well, controlled over half the grappling time she was involved in. She also took a knockdown and has the worst last 5 strength of schedule on the entire card at 55.8. You'd like to see this number between like 65 and 75 minimum, and we are 10 points below that, so not good at all. Meanwhile, Josephine Knutsson, she is 5'3" with a 60-inch reach, so taller but less reach, 27 years old, has a terrible strength of schedule as well, but it's still 5 points better than Mann. No knockdowns, no submission attempts in her Dana White Contender Series fight. She did control 97.5% of all grappling time that she was involved in, and she outpaced her opponents inside the distance 3.84 points a minute, allowing just 1.19. She only scored 71 in that Dana White Contender Series fight against Isis Verbeek.
The good ISIS.
So I don't know if 9,500 is really going to be worth it. You'd have to expect at least 110, 120 points from Josephine Knutsson, and I just don't see that happening. I'm not willing to pay that on a newcomer, on a Dana White Contender Series fighter, even if she is fighting Mann. So Mann did get finished in her Dana White Contender Series fight by Bruna Brazil, round 2, KO, TKO at the very end of the round. So hoping this one goes to decision, and the winner probably scores 70, 80, maybe even 90 points, and it does not pay off the $9,500 salary. As you know, 6,700 is the cursed salary, so I would definitely avoid that. Has a 4% win rate in the past 2 years. So give me Josephine Knutsson for the pick, but I do not want to roster her a ton in DraftKings this week. Here we have Charlie the Cannibal Campbell taking on Alex Reyes. Alex Reyes has not fought in 6 years. He had a tainted stem cell procedure or something like that. He basically paralyzed him. He had to relearn how to walk again, and he has not fought in, like I said, about 6 years. So while this is an amazing story, and it is absolutely incredible that he is not only walking again, but actually fighting again, I honestly can't believe it. So many kudos to him. But honestly, if we're talking about DraftKings here, all that other stuff aside, I can't possibly possibly expect him to win this fight, or probably even put him in my lineup against Charlie Campbell. I think Charlie Campbell just comes in here and gets it done. He had Chris Duncan dead to rights in that Dana White Contender Series fight before the tables got turned and Campbell himself got finished by KO TKO in just under 2 minutes, I should say. But that was a barn burner of a fight, and Campbell was absolutely in it until he wasn't. I mean, he scored almost 4 points a minute in that fight. Really, these stats have to be thrown out. It was a 2-minute fight, you know what I mean? His last 5 strength of schedule, not great for Charlie Campbell, just 59.99. And Reyes' last 5 is at 65.73. But again, Reyes has not fought in 6 years. In fact, it's been so long that his only UFC fight was in 2017. He got KO TKO'd by Mike Perry. So that has been quite a long time. So yeah, give me Campbell here at 9,300. I don't mind him for cash. I don't mind it for GPPs. Perfectly fine in every single tournament. And let's hope we get a finish here and a triple-digit score out of Charlie the Cannibal Campbell. The closest line DraftKings fight on the entire card, Tracy Cortez 8,200 taking on Jasmine Jasudavicius Double J.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, that is so.
8K this week. The stats here are pretty interesting, and I think this one's going to be a grappler's delight.
Now, what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat.
Cortez 4-0 in the UFC, Jasmine 3-1. All of their fights have gone to decision. All 8 fights total have gone all 15 minutes here. Cortez outpacing her opponents almost 2-1. At distances, it's a different story, getting outpaced by 0.7 points a minute, but inside the distance, 4 points a minute, allowing just 1.23. Cortez only scoring 87.5 points on average in her DraftKings win. She put up 80 against Gatto, 86 against Kish, 80 against Egger, and in her debut, she actually put up 102 against Vanessa Mello, of all people. So Jasmine, she's beaten Miranda Maverick, scored 85, 105 against Gabriela Fernandez, lost to Natalia Silva, and beat Kay Hansen, scoring 85 points. So neither woman scoring a ton of points here. The pacing for Jasmine is just about where Tracy's is. She's outpacing her opponents overall, getting outpaced at distance, but inside the distance, they are ruling their opponents here, averaging over 3.5 a minute and allowing basically 1 point back at them. Jasmine just 92 per win. As I mentioned, both women have fantastic takedown accuracy, allowing or scoring basically 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Both of them have pretty good takedown defense. Both of them control a ton of the grappling time they're involved in. Jasmine is paying off her salaries much better than Tracy Cortez is, with a value of 12.5 per win. And her average ownership is also much lower at 19% compared to 24%. And the average salary is really where we're going to be getting into it here. Jasmine, $200 more than her average at 7,800. Tracy is usually 8,850, and she's 8,200 this week. So if you like Tracy Cortez, there could be some value there. Neither woman has ever knocked anyone down. 0 power index for both. Jasmine has the better last 5 strength of schedule at 70 compared to 64.5 for Cortez. So honestly, there aren't many dogs on this slate, and I am leaning the dog on this one, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Really, this is a fade fight though for DraftKings, as neither woman scores well at all. All of their fights have gone all 15 minutes, and the grappling games could easily stalemate each other here, leading to a very, very low stand-up score. So I think the fade here is in play. I will be fading this one. Usually I don't like to not play the 8,200 and 8K salaries, but if you're going to, I'd pick Jasmine, but I just don't have any faith in their ability to score more than 90 points. They might not have to at such low salaries, depending on what else happens, but if a ton of favorites win this week, it's going to be really hard for either of these women to get in with 70 to 80 points. So I'm going to be fading this one overall, and let's keep it moving. Here we've got a must-play fight, in my opinion. And on one side, 8,700, we've got Edgar Chairez taking on Daniel Lacerda, a guy that is 0-4 in the UFC and loves putting people on the optimal lineup. He put CJ Vergara on the optimal, Victor Altamirano, and Jeff Molina on the optimal lineup, allowing well over 111 points per loss. The only person he fought that didn't make the optimal was Lil Figgy, and that's because he only landed 5 strikes, no takedowns, had no control time, and just found the sub anyway. So he barely scored 90 points, just got that first round bonus there. Chairez took on Tatsuro Taira. Looked okay, I guess. I mean, Taira kind of mopped the floor with him, to be completely honest, but I have no faith in Daniel Lacerda. That said, he is extremely dangerous in the first round, but that's it. He has like 3-4 minutes of gas, and that is it. So if Edgar Chairez can withstand that, I think this one's going to end very well for Chairez, probably by finish, late first round, early second round. Otherwise, Daniel Lacerda is absolutely live for a first round finish. So I'll be playing both of these guys in my lineups here. I mean, the average ownership for Chairez, or he only had one fight. He was owned 7% at 6,600. He is 2,100 more than that this week. So they really have no faith in Daniel Lacerda, and why would you? I mean, 0-4, pretty crazy. He's usually coming in at $75.50. He is $50 under his average salary, does land knockouts, does get knocked out, does throw up subs, has a decent last 5 strength of schedule. I just don't know how he's going to get it done here, even against Edgar Chairez. I am definitely leaning Edgar Chairez. You know, he's going to, like I said, he's going to have to withstand that first few minutes. If he can do that, I think we're getting a finish from Chairez. So again, I like both sides, favor Chairez, but you cannot sleep on the first 3 minutes of Daniel Lacerda, because absolutely anything could happen, guys. Hopefully the winner gets a finish in the first round, maybe even the second round, and puts up enough points to make the optimal lineup. So I love this fight for GPPs. Probably would not be targeted in cash, though.
Fuck little body!
Here we've got Roman Kopylov, 9,100, taking on Josh Fremd at 7,100. Josh Fremd recently beat Jamie Pickett back in August, scoring 66 points in a win, so not a very good number there. A lot of Josh Fremd's numbers leave a lot to be desired. Averaging just 87.5 points per win. I mean, getting outpaced overall, outpacing his opponents at distance 2.75 to 1.5, but inside the distance, he's getting outpaced as well. 32% takedown defense. This guy allows 4.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. Average value per win is just 10.5. Does have a very good last 5 strength of schedule at 76, and he is $1,150 cheaper than his average salary since 2021. Meanwhile, Roman Kopylov, basically even with his opponents overall, outpacing them at distance 2.7 to 1.6, but inside the distance, guys, this is a huge number. Scoring just 2.24 points a minute, allowing almost 5 points a minute. DraftKings points per win for Kopylov, a lot to be desired as well. Just 93.6 when he does win. His only 100-point win, I believe, was against Puna Soriano, in which he scored 108. But other than that, he put up 80 against Di Carico and 92 against Claudio Ribeiro after he landed that incredible head kick out of nowhere. Does have a fantastic takedown defense of 90%, which makes me wonder how he's getting outpaced so badly inside the distance. You've also got to pay over $1,000, over $1,100 actually, more than Kopylov's average salary of $79.25. Does have a pretty decent strength of schedule, over 70. That's what we are looking for, but just not quite as good as Fremd. I don't know how I see this fight playing out. I like Roman Kopylov a lot. I probably think he's going to win. I just don't know how he scores well. Like I said, only one of his 3 wins over 100 points. That is not something I'm really looking forward to, so I'm automatically looking at the dog this week at 7,100. Does have a tremendous takedown upside, even though the numbers don't necessarily show it, but Kopylov does have pretty much nothing if he's on his back. So if Fremd can get a takedown and get some top time,
These fucking wrestlers keep coming in!
I think he can score okay in a win. At 7,100, you don't need him to score 100 points. You just need a little bit. I don't mind rostering him for cash just because there are no underdogs this week. Again, guys, hardly any underdogs that I like. I don't even like Fremd to win, but as far as an underdog shot goes, I think he has an okay chance at 7,100, so I will have some of him rostered. I'm probably going to stay away from Kopylov in GPPs. I might not mind him a ton in cash, but I think there's some better plays out there this week. Here we've got Loopy Godinez, $9,400, taking on Elise Reed at 68. Let's start with Elise Reed. I don't think I'm going to be playing her in any format at all this week. None whatsoever. I don't think she has a good chance at all against Godinez. She gets outpaced inside the distance, 1.5 per minute to 4.41. Her DraftKings points per win comes in at just 71.5. She beat Jinyu Fry, scored 62. She beat Melissa Martinez, 82. And she beat Corey McKenna, scored 70. So not really interested in Elise Reed, even if she is $900 cheaper than her average salary. Meanwhile, Loopy Godinez, can you play her? Is she going to wrestle? We have no idea. Guys, she put up 13 takedowns against Arniana Carnelosi and Loma Lookboonmee. Since then, she has landed 2 of 8 takedowns. She is just not wrestling. I have no idea why.
It does hurt, actually.
Her pacing is phenomenal. 3.7 points a minute to just 2. Inside the distance, almost 5 points a minute, allowing just 1. Scores almost 100 points per win. Controls 78% of the grappling time she's involved in. 82% takedown defense. Very good. Her strength of schedule leaves a little bit to be desired at 64. And you do have to pay $500 over her average salary, which is never a good thing. If I knew she was going to wrestle, I'd play her in 100% of my cash and GPP lineups for the most part. But we just don't know that. Yes, I think she's going to win, but how is she going to score, guys? 88 78 against Dakota, 66 against Cynthia Calvillo. She did put up 129 against Carnelossi, but even in the Loma Lookboonmee fight, she landed 5 takedowns and scored only 86 points. So I just don't know if she can be trusted. I'm probably going to be laying off Godinez. I think she's going to be overowned this week, and I just can't say that she is going to wrestle definitively. Like I said, if I knew that, she'd be in a ton of my lineups, but we don't know that, so she's not going in very many. I still like her for the win over Reed. I won't have Reed rostered probably at all. Here we've got Fernando Padilla taking on the Canadian Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson has some terrible stats. It's almost all red, guys. He's getting outpaced everywhere. At distance, inside the distance. His DraftKings points per win is terrible at under 50. Ceiling under 100. You never want to see that. Neither of his 2 UFC wins has netted him over 100 points. Does have a decent takedown defense, allowing just 0.79, but we probably don't need to worry about that when he's going up against Fernando Padilla. Nelson coming in at his average salary. The only other good number here is his last 5 strength of schedule, which is 71, as he has beaten Blake Builder, Marco Polo Reyes, yikes, lost to Billy Quarantillo, Jai Herbert, and took a draw against Du Ho Choi. Meanwhile, Fernando Padilla has only had 1 fight in the UFC. He absolutely smashed Julian Erosa in the first 2 minutes of that fight, knocking him out, scoring a ton of points per minute. You got to throw these out. I mean, it's a less than 2-minute fight. 10 points a minute means nothing in this context, but he did put up 108 points, 100% of the grappling time he controlled. Average value was 14.6 in that fight. He was $7,400 in that one against Julian Erosa. Was it Juicy J? Yeah, against Juicy J. So he is $1,500 more expensive this week. I am willing to pay that. I am willing to go up and get Padilla here. I love him against Kyle Nelson. I think he has the opportunity to finish Kyle Nelson, as Nelson has been KO TKO'd twice in the UFC and submitted once. So 3 of his 4 losses have been finishes. So I am firmly on the Padilla side. I'm hoping he goes overlooked this week at 8,900, hoping he kind of gets lost in the shuffle, everybody going up to get those 9K guys. But I will have Padilla in a ton of my lineups, most likely GPP and cash. I think I put him in my Pub Sports Radio cash lineup, and I really like that play. So 8,900, I think there's a lot of potential value here.
I drink it up!
And hoping he can get this done on the feet early, get Kyle Nelson out of there. If not, we'll just have to see how he does over 15 minutes. Very interested to see that as well. Like I said, only has 1 UFC fight, and it lasted less than 2 minutes, guys. So this could easily go one of 2 ways. Padilla gets the win early, or looks good in a decision, or he just doesn't look good in a decision, and Nelson kind of just tempers his striking a little bit, and he might still win the fight, but only score 70 to 80 points. Either way, I like my chances on Padilla this week, and I will have him in a ton of lineups over Kyle Nelson. As far as rostering Nelson, maybe a little bit in GPPs, but I won't touch him in cash. Maybe around the field weight in GPPs, probably less than 15% if I had to guess. This may be my last underdog spot on the card, and I am not very confident in it at all. We've got Daniel Zellhuber at 8,800 taking on Christos Giagos at 74. Let's start with Zellhuber, 1-1 in the UFC, lost his debut to Trey Ogden, then came back and beat Lando Venata by decision, scored only 75.5 points. Yikes. He's supposed to be a striker. Overall, he's just scoring 2.2 points a minute. At distance, he's scoring less than 2 points a minute, which is under the Lewis line. And inside the distance actually looked okay, scoring 6 points a minute, allowing just 3. Controlled 70% of the grappling time he was involved in. There must have been no grappling time. Yeah, this is just a function of very little grappling time. That's why the number is so good. Has stuffed 11 takedowns, though. 11 of 12 takedowns he stuffed for a 92% takedown defense. He is coming in $150 under his average salary. Average value per win is not even 9, though, in his 1 win. So that leaves a lot to be desired. Has scored a knockdown. Has an okay strength of schedule, just over the threshold of 65. Meanwhile, Christos Giagos last beat Ricky Glenn. He's 3-2 in his last 5. His only 2 losses in those last 5 was to Thiago Moises and Arman Sarukian. So some very, very good lightweights there. His stats aren't bad. Overall, he's outscoring his opponents by 0.8 points a minute. At distance, he's outscoring them. Inside the distance, 4 points a minute scored, allowing just 2.68. And his DraftKings points per win, 23 points higher than what Zellhuber scored at 98.5 points. So leaves a little bit to be desired, but as an underdog, underdog, that's something that we can accept. Takedown accuracy is pretty good, 42% for Giagos, 3.16 per 15 minutes. Takedown defense is just 52%. Hopefully we shouldn't have to worry about that going up against Daniel Zellhuber too much, though. Giagos coming in a bit cheaper than his average salary, about $125 less. Average value per win is fantastic. Over 6 wins, we have an average value of over 12. Love to see that. A ton of round 1 finish wins and losses. Also like to see that. He's getting knocked down. He's knocking people down. He's throwing up subs, and subs are being thrown against him, and the strength of schedule is very good. So I think there's a ton of upside for Giagos, and maybe even for Zellhuber as well, since Giagos likes to get, has been knocked down, has had submissions thrown up against him. So I think this one could go either way, but I am kind of favoring Giagos just because I need a 7,400 in my lineup so I can construct a proper cash lineup. I would not touch this fight for, well, that's not true. I was going to say I wouldn't touch it for GPPs. I'll just be really low on it, at least on the Zellhuber side, probably higher on Giagos in GPP tournaments. And I also have Giagos in my cash lineup, as I said, just so I can get to some of those top tier guys. I cannot stand the underdogs this week, so I'm riding with Giagos, and hopefully we get a good outcome here, but not very confident at all. This one should be easy. Rosas Jr, 9,600, most expensive fighter on the card, taking on Terrence the Tear Bear Mitchell. Yes, that is his actual nickname, Tear Bear. So yeah, we're not playing him at 6,600. Let's see, he lost to Cameron Simon in the first round. This is a bounce back play for Rosas Jr. It's so very clear. I would be shocked if Mitchell won this fight or even got out of the first round, to be honest. So I will have no Mitchell rostered in cash or GPPs. The only issue is, can you roster Raul Rosas Jr. in cash or GPPs at $9,600? Stats aside, that is a very expensive price tag. If you think you can get this one done in the first round, then by all means put him in your lineups. Probably am leaning that. I just think he's a bit too expensive for cash. I'll probably be looking elsewhere. If you play Rosas Jr., you're just going to be a ton in the mid-range and a few underdogs, which I hate this week. So I don't know how much Raul Rosas Jr. I can get to. I might regret that, as he could easily finish this in the first round, even the first minute, over Terrence Mitchell. I mean, this might require one takedown and Rosas is on the back and this shit is a wrap. So I will have him rostered, just not as much as I probably would want to. Probably not as much as the field, but like I said, I think he wins this fight easily. But if it doesn't finish in the first minute or the first round, like how well is he going to score? That is my only issue. So give me Rosas for the win. I'll have a little bit of him in cash and GPPs, but I'm probably going to be looking for a few cheaper options. And like I said, Tear Bear, Terrence Mitchell, not rostering him in any format at all. Co-main event of the evening, we've got Jack Della Maddalena, aka Don Giacomo,
Gorlami.
taking on the Trailblazer Kevin Holland. Holland at 7,900, Maddalena at 7,300, guys. We are getting both gentlemen way under their average salary. Kevin Holland is usually 8,500, and Jack Della Maddalena's average salary, $9,200. So are we ever going to get him cheaper than this? I don't think so. I think this is a must-play fight for the most part. Maddalena has fantastic numbers. I mean, you can just see all the green on the screen. Inside the distance leaves a lot to be desired, and that was kind of exposed in his last fight against Basel Hafez. He was taken down 3 times, was controlled for 45% of those 15 minutes. Just not a good look for JDM. That said, he's only 27 years old, guys, and we always preach about how young fighters in between fights just take these leaps in their training. They just get better and better and better. So I would imagine that, knowing he had to face Kevin Holland, that Maddalena has been training nothing but submission defense and takedown defense for the past 6 weeks or so. So hopefully we see that play out in this fight. Meanwhile, Kevin Holland, you know what he does, man. The only problem is his numbers are a bit lackluster, getting outpaced overall. Inside the distance, he's getting outpaced 2.3 points a minute to 4.5. That might have something to do with, Khamzat Chimaev as well in there, but really he's fought nothing but stand-up guys lately. I mean, outside of Michael Chiesa, but that fight, shouldn't have even happened. Beat Ponzi, lost to Stephen Thompson, and then beat Tim Means right before the Khamzat loss. So this one could be a bit interesting. I think the winner scores well if they finish inside the distance. This one also has potential to go all 15 minutes, but these fighters are cheap enough where I really don't mind paying either side of the price here. 8,300 for the favorite is very, very good. So I'm going to have both sides rostered. I'm kind of leaning Maddalena, and maybe it's because I'm a fanboy. I really like both guys, honestly. How could you not like Kevin Holland? His fight IQ is the real thing that brings this whole pick into question, though.
So sad. So sad. So sad.
If his fight IQ was much better, I would pick Holland 10 times out of 10, but it's simply not. He does the wildest things.
I keep having to do wild stuff
When he's in the cage, and Della Maddalena should be able to take advantage of some of that. So I can see paths where both guys win, but I think I'm leaning with Maddalena here. I will have a ton of this fight in DraftKings. In cash, I'm probably staying away because I really don't know who's going to win. My heart says Maddalena, but that could easily go downhill. So I will only be playing this fight in GPPs. I really want to see what the ownerships are going to be, and I'll go off of that. But again, I think I prefer Maddalena a bit. That said, Kevin Holland is a veteran. He's an OG of this game, and he can pull the sub out at any time. So I'll have both sides of this one rostered. Love this co-main event. It's hard for me to say I'm going to root for Della Maddalena because I really like both guys, but I just want this to be a good fight. How about that? We can root for a good fight and a good outcome. Main event of the evening, we've got the women's flyweight championship on the line. Alexa Grasso, current champ, is the underdog here at $7,700, taking on Valentina Shevchenko, $8,500. Shevchenko obviously trying to get her belt back. The stats all say that she is not going to do it. People that are trying to get their belt back have a very low win rate. And also I saw a stat of people that are in title fights over 35 fighting someone younger than them win at like a 10% rate or so. It's something crazy low. So the trends
1.0, 1.25.
That cost me a lot of money.
Are not on Shevchenko's side, but the stats definitely are. She is, outperforming Alexa Grasso basically everywhere, and it's not even close, dude. Her average DraftKings points per win for Shevchenko, 108.6 compared to just 88 for Alexa Grasso. The ceiling on Shevchenko is much, much higher. Her takedown accuracy, her takedown defense is better, controls more of the grappling time. Her average salary, $9,500 since 2021, and she is $1,000 cheaper than that this week. Much like we said about JDM, as you'll never get him at the low price of $8,300 again, most likely. You likely will not see Valentina Shevchenko at this low of a price ever again. So I love this fight. I love this fight for cash. I'm playing Valentina Shevchenko. Okay, I shouldn't say I love this fight for cash. I like Shevchenko in cash. I think she has the far greater DraftKings upside than Alexa Grasso, but we all saw what happened last time. Grasso just snatched the back, and she was under the chin or on the jaw in a matter of seconds. It was very impressive to see. Surprised everyone that was watching, and for good reason. So this might be stupid, but I'm leaning Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going against the trend, something which I hate doing, but I will do it. I just think she has the much better upside. In fact, when she lost to Grasso, she put up 80.5 points, and that was just in the 4th round. She still had a whole nother round to go if that would have gone to decision, and if she would have won, probably over 120 points is what we're looking at there. So I love the upside of Shevchenko. Valentina is just a scoring machine. She put up almost 115 against Taila Santos, 108 against Murphy, 140 against Jessica Andrade, and 134.5 against Jennifer Maia. So
Triples makes it safe. Now, triples is best. Yeah, that's good. Stop.
if she didn't have that, if she didn't get caught there trying to throw those stupid head and arm throws all the time, and Alexa didn't take her back, she was well on her way to 115, 120 points minimum. So I love this fight for Shevchenko. I will be playing her again at this extremely low price. Guys, she was $9,400 against Grasso, and this time we get her $900 cheaper than that. That is huge potential value, and that's the side I will be going for. I will probably have Grasso in some GPP lineups, but I don't trust her enough to play her in cash. If we're talking cash, I'm probably playing Valentina Shevchenko. Seems like a no-brainer. I don't like the stack. I don't like the stack here, even though the stack last time would have scored you, 90 and 80? I just don't know. Probably would not go about stacking this fight. Just pick a side. I'm on the Shevchenko side, like I said, for cash. We'll have her in GPPs. Also, I'll have Grasso in a bit of GPPs as well. Guys, that's going to do it. All 11 fights. Hopefully, you at least saw all the most pertinent stats to help you create those GPP lineups. Let's get you out of here. But first, hit the like and the sub on this video, and let's throw it over to M.O.N.K to see who he has for CM M.O.N.K's picks. NOCHE UFC. Man, we had a banger week last week for UFC 293. CM M.O.N.K went 10 of 12 on his picks, 83.33%. Me personally, I went 11 of 12 on my picks. Missed only one. It was the Adesanya fight. But ironically, CM M.O.N.K picked Sean Strickland to win that fight. So CM M.O.N.K had Strickland against Adesanya, and it wasn't even close. He had him at like 66%. So for year to date, CM M.O.N.K back over the 60% mark. And me personally, I'm sitting at 61.5%. You could even almost almost round up to 62%. So let's keep it rolling in this one. This week, M.O.N.K, who do we got? We've got Josephine Knutsson over Mann by finish. Charlie Campbell over Alex Reyes by finish. Tracy Cortez beating Jasmine Jasudavicius by decision. Edgar Chairez over Daniel Lacerda by finish. Roman Kopylov beating Josh Fremd by finish. Lupi Godinez over Elise Reed by decision. Fernando Padilla over Kyle Nelson by finish. Let's go. Christos Giagos, the one underdog pick of the week for M.O.N.K. He is beating Daniel Zellhuber by finish. Can't wait to see that happen. Raul Rosas Jr. beating Terrence Mitchell, the Tear Bear, by finish. JDM Don Giacomo over Kevin Holland by finish. And Valentina Shevchenko getting the job done over Alexa Grasso by decision. If this goes to decision, Valentina is going to score 125 points, guys. I want her in all of my lineups, I think. So those are M.O.N.K's picks. Let's throw it over to M.O.N.K and find out who the M.O.N.K most owned, no nonsense M.O.N.K pick of the week is going to be for NOCHE UFC. The M.O.N.K pick of the week, the M.O.N.K most owned, no nonsense pick of the week is going to be Fernando Padilla this week at 8,900. Guys, he's got Kyle Nelson, and I think he can do terrible things to Kyle Nelson. I think he can win this inside the distance, and I think he has the potential to score very well. He looked fantastic in his first fight against Julian Erosa, but we all know Erosa loves to get knocked out, so that is exactly what Padilla did. This week, he's 8,900, and I think he's going to go a bit overlooked, being at that high 8K range instead of in the 9K range. So for that reason, and the finishing potential, and the fact that Kyle Nelson, not a very good UFC fighter, we're going to go Fernando Padilla this week at 8,900 for the most owned, no nonsense M.O.N.K pick of the week, NOCHE UFC. Let's get you guys out of here.
I'm honestly done. I don't want to read anymore.
And that is gonna do it, everybody. We broke down all 11 fights from a DraftKings perspective, showed you hopefully the most pertinent stats that you need to construct those GPP and cash lineups and make that money this weekend, guys. We can fatten our wallets up at NOCHE UFC. Like I said, we had a banger week last week. Let's keep the ball rolling through September here. We've got one more fight week before a break, so yeah, this is the perfect time to get those bets in for the fall so we can go take our kids to the pumpkin patch and spend all that money on those shitty little train rides. So guys, let's get you out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. Hit the like and sub on this video, and as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you in the next one.
I love this stuff. Only come here if you like that stuff.